We are so excited to welcome our friend and new addition to the Red Sox 40-man roster, Brandon Walter, to the show. He's joined us once before. We're so excited to welcome him back, and we're excited to bring this episode right to you.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. I am your host, NESN's Lauren Willand, and we're going to jump right into our conversation with Brandon Walter. Jake and I talk everything with Brandon, from his injuries to last season to just being added to the Red Sox 40-man roster. We hope you enjoy it.
We are here back again with Red Sox pitching prospect Brandon Walter. So, Brandon, you are our most reoccurring guest as a player. We talked to you last offseason, during the season, and now during this offseason. So, greatly appreciate you always taking the time to come on the show.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's always easy talk and fun to be on talk to you guys. I'm missing baseball. I haven't in a long time, so if I can at least talk about it, I'm always down to talk baseball. I'll probably talk too much, so
there is no such
we won't complain.
No such thing about talking too much baseball, especially in the off season. We miss baseball a lot too, so we certainly feel you.
Yeah.
But I want to start off. You got some exciting news 2 days ago. You ended up having your contract selected by the Red Sox, and was curious sort of what your reaction was to that news.
I was clearly very excited when our farm director, Brian Abraham, called me. I knew the deadline was at 6 o'clock that day, so I was kind of sweating it out all day. I didn't know kind of what was going to happen. I know sometimes teams make trades and stuff on that day too, so I was just kind of leaving it open, trying not to think about it much, but obviously my mind was kind of on that all day, and he ended up calling me. It was a big relief. But yeah, I'm excited. Glad to be. I mean, I love the organization. I love Boston in general, just like the area and everything. I love everybody in the organization, the way they run things, and the passionate fan base and everything. So I'm glad to be a part of this organization, and now I don't have to sweat it out. Maybe getting picked up by a different team, I can know where my focus is in Boston. So I'm happy about that.
It's always a good feeling to kind of know what's next and not have to, like you said, not have to worry about where are we going to go? Are we going to have to move? Are we going to stay on the same coast, the same time zone? Right. So it's always, a good feeling to have stability. But besides getting your contract selected to the 40-man, what has been your favorite moment of the offseason so far? Like what have you been doing now that baseball's in the offseason?
I started playing in base and training for baseball again, which is great because I had the injury that maybe missed the last couple of months of the season, so I wasn't really doing much during that time. So that was pretty much my off season. Now I'm ramping back up. I'm feeling good. I'm healthy now. Going and lifting and running and everything back into the routine that I like to do. So to me, that's the biggest positive I've had since I've been home. So it's been good.
When we spoke about your recovery, you said it was a slow process. So did you mainly recover in Worcester, or did you go down to Fort Myers, and sort of why was it such a slow recovery?
I started off. I stayed in Worcester for a couple of weeks when it first popped up, because it was just like it seemed like it was just like a stiff neck type situation. It would just have to let it rest for a couple of weeks, or even a week. Usually is what a stiff neck would be, but I mean, it just never went away. So we ended up getting looked at the MRI, and it showed a little bit of a bulging disc. That takes a long time to go back into. Something scary, like career threatening, just takes so much time to get that back into. It's frustrating for me because I couldn't do anything in the time. It's right in the middle of my body. Like anything I do is really putting stress on that. So I really just had to rest for a couple months, which is tough to do in the middle of a season, especially when I'm in AAA and you never know what could happen when you're in that spot. But then so after 2 weeks, I ended up going back to Fort Myers and finishing out the rehab there. And yeah, it was a long process. But I mean, I'm glad it's behind me now. But yeah, it took way longer than me or any of the medical staff anticipated.
Yeah, I was going to ask, with an injury like that, when there's really nothing you can do but rest, does that kind of take a mental toll on you and a physical toll? Because you can't really do much. But is there a mental aspect to it too when you're just kind of stuck waiting for it to recover?
Yeah, because I mean, as an athlete, you're always looking for what can I do to get myself better. Like it's always doing something. It's never doing nothing. So I mean, when you're stuck and you're in Florida and you're just kind of like getting worked on every day by the trainers and the PT staff. I mean, they did a lot to help me, but there's only so much you can do. It's just a time thing, which was tough for me mentally, just because I'm watching all my teammates play baseball and I'm watching everybody play baseball, and I'm just kind of there, just there resting basically and doing small little things, anything I can do to make it feel better. And just the whole thing. It was a weird injury where it's not like there's not a set time that they know it's going to be like healed. So it was just a weird time where I was just kind of playing the waiting game. And it slowly got better and better and better, and I was able to do more and more. But in the beginning there, yeah, it was definitely tough mentally.
Hopefully you were able to at least get a tan while you were down in Florida when you weren't, recovering and everything like that. But I can't even imagine, because you were in Worcester for a split second, ended up making 2 starts there for the Woo Sox. But, really reflecting on, during this time since the injury, do you think it was due to overworking, or why do you think maybe that injury occurred?
No, I mean, honestly, I just think it was a freak injury. I had a little neck problem in spring training, and I don't think I really let it heal. I just threw through it and then got it worked on every day, and then I just figured it would go away, and it kind of did for the most part. Like I didn't really have like pain with it, but I never really got the motion and mobility back in that area. So I was kind of pitching through that the whole season, but it wasn't really bothering me too much, like pain wise. It was just I couldn't really move the same way. So I think I just broke through that threshold of mobility and kind of re-injured it in a more serious way the second time. So definitely something to learn from. If I'm feeling something and something's not right, maybe address it a little sooner and maybe take some time off in the beginning instead of having to miss multiple months like that. So something to learn from. I think it was more just a freak injury. I don't think it's a reoccurring thing. So I'm hoping it's behind me and I can just move on and go back to normal.
It seemed like you were doing, you had 2 starts in Worcester in before your injury, and your first start you allowed 6 runs, and then in your second start you only allowed 1 run over 6 innings. Kind of what changed from first to second start? Was just more you being more comfortable or more confident on the mound, or like what changed from start 1 to start 2?
I mean, I don't know if much changed. I mean, that game, the first game, they just kind of hit me around in one inning. It's like I was throwing the ball in the zone, and it was just I gave a bunch of singles, and I gave I think a double down the line that scored 3. It just kind of spiraled on me. First start with a new team. I mean, can't say I was the most comfortable I've ever been on the mound, but I mean, I guess that second start I was able to kind of put that behind me and get back into my normal routine that I was doing in Portland that gave me a lot of success. And that's just attacking the zone with my fastball first and foremost, just getting ahead early and then using the off speed pitches that I have that are pretty good and just attacking them with those 2 later in the count.
And you were lights out when you were in Portland. I believe you only had 3 walks in 50
Yeah.
to 60 innings, and pretty incredible what you were able to do in terms of your pinpoint control. And so, reflecting on that, what do you think made you so effective down there in Double-A, outside of just attacking the zone and being able to get guys to chase outside of the zone and your approach in that form? But what do you think really helped you be so effective?
I mean, I think it's just my confidence in my 3. I mean, I have 3 pitches, and I just like to attack, especially early in the count. I want to get a lot of plate and just get ahead in the count. Once you get ahead 0-1, 0-2, then hitters are going to be more inclined to chase out of the zone. So for me, I put a big emphasis on strike 1, and I did a great job getting 0-1 consistently. And that was with any pitch. It wasn't just fastball. I threw a first pitch slider or changeup or whatever. I was trying to throw it in the strike zone and get ahead. And then after that, just hitters are going to be more aggressive. And then once you get the reputation that you're going to be in the strike zone a lot, they're going to be swinging more and more. So it kind of made it easier for me. But yeah, just being aggressive in the strike zone early in the count, and then having fun getting them to chase later in the count.
We'll get you right back to our conversation with Brandon Walter as soon as I tell you about Simply Safe. If you have thought about securing your home with home security but have been putting it off for whatever reason, you'll want to listen up, because right now, Locked On Red Sox listeners can order the #1 rated Simply Safe home security system for 50% off. This is their biggest offer of the year, and you will not want to miss it. I love Simply Safe. It gives me that extra layer of security. My dog Roxy, she is a shepherd, so she's very loyal, very protective. If someone were to ever, even if someone just walks by my house, she knows she is barking, so we know someone is out there. But to have that extra layer just gives me a little bit more peace of mind, and especially around the holidays, because did you know that property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike around the globe? That's why our friends at Simply Safe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system so that more families can be safe, they can feel safe, and feel secure this holiday season. Order your Simply Safe system for half off today and enjoy advanced security and greater peace of mind this holiday season. Simply Safe was named the best home security system of 2022 by US News and World Report. That is a third year in a row. In an emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real, so you can get priority police response. 24/7 professional monitoring services cost less than $1 a day, less than half the price of ADT's traditional professionally installed system. And with the top-rated Simply Safe app, stay in complete control of your system anytime, anywhere. Arm or disarm, unlock for a guest, access your cameras, or adjust your system settings. I won't lie, sometimes I just check the cameras to see what my dog is up to if I'm out running an errand. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system I recommend. Get 50% off any new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/lockedonmlb. This is their biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. That's simplysafe.com/lockedonmlb. There is no safe like Simply Safe. Thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. Once you finish this episode with Brandon Walter, head on over and check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights that only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on YouTube, Apple, the Odyssey app, wherever you get your podcasts. It's always, it's good to get that first strike and then kind of build off of that first strike. And you mentioned your pitches you have the 3 pitches, and one of those is the slider. And Baseball America considers that to be the best slider in the Red Sox system. And I just want to know, like, what that progression of that pitch is throughout your career. Like, do you know how good your slider is?
Oh yeah, I mean the hitters tell me with their swings, so I'm not scared to throw it. I'll throw it in any count. I think I do a good job throwing it in the strike zone and then out of the strike zone when I want to. So I can kind of do both with that. Even I can throw 2 in a row and they'll be in 2 different spots. They look like 2 different pitches. So yeah, I like playing with the slider, and it gives me even more of an advantage because my other pitches move so much the other direction that it's just a totally different look from my fastball and changeup. So I like to use it a lot. Keeps to lefties especially, it keeps them off balance big time. And then I like to throw it to righties too. So I think it works to both in any count. So I have a lot of confidence in that pitch, and I'm going to continue to throw it a lot because it's given me a lot of success.
Yeah, Baseball America not only considered you to have the best slider, but also the best control in the Red Sox farm system. And, with all the noise around your name, whether it's, people predicting that you could potentially be in the Red Sox bullpen next season as soon as that. But how do you really not allow that noise or that external stuff get into your mind? And how do you really block it out and not allow, the pressure to get to you?
I mean, it's pretty, I wouldn't say it's easy, but I mean, it's easy when you just put it all out of your mind when the game starts. I mean, you gotta, people, I feel like sometimes people forget that there's professional players on the other team that you're competing against. So if you're thinking about what like the expectations of you going into that game, then your mind's in the wrong spot. You know, I mean, those guys are training hard just like the pitchers do, and they're reading scouting reports through every day on you, and they're looking at video just like you are on them. So it's a fun game to compete with those guys and attack them. And I take it personal every time a guy steps in the box. I want to get them out, and I'm not, if I'm letting my mind wander into other spots about what people are saying about me or what people are thinking, then my mind's definitely not in the right spot that day.
I like that you said that you take it personal when someone steps in the box, because I feel like that, to me, that speaks that it just gives you more motivation to go out there and just give the best performance you can that day.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a team sport, obviously, but for most of the game, it's 1-on-1. It's pitcher versus hitter, and they only get 3 or 4 bats a game, and sometimes only see you twice. So I mean, I'm trying to get them out every time they come up, especially if we're in the heart of the order, and there's certain guys that are obviously better hitters than others in the order. I'm honing in on those guys and trying to get those guys out, and I'm making sure I know what they can hit and what they can't hit, and what maybe they struggle against versus lefties, and I try to get all those scouting reports in my head before the game, so I don't really got to think about it too much each pitch. But yeah, I definitely take it personal, and each at bat matters. You can change a game with one swing at any time in a baseball game. So try to stay locked in for every pitch and win every at bat, and that's been my mindset since I've probably started pitching. So it's done good for me. So I'm not going to really change that one.
You spoke about your confidence as one of your biggest strengths, and we always hear, especially starters, have different rituals or routines prior to making their start. Whether it's listening to different music. Thad Ward said he likes to listen to high tempo music to start out, and then some softer music once it gets closer to the game. But curious, how do you really get yourself amped, and what's sort of your pregame routine prior to a start is?
I'm very not superstitious at all when it comes to anything like that. And I have my routine that gets my body ready in the weight room every day and the training room with the trainer, and those are all set times before every start. But I'm not. I mean, I don't wear the same socks every start day or anything, but or listen to the same songs or anything. I try not to get. To me, that would hype me up too much way too early in the day, and I can't handle that. I need to save that for when the game starts and just be locked in and ready to go.
It's so funny to hear you say that, because I feel like baseball, there's a lot of superstition around it. Like players, like they have their own superstition. And I don't know if there's a sport more superstitious than baseball. So it's funny to hear you say that, just because of other routines I've seen, other players I've talked to in my career. So I think you're the first to say that you're not superstitious. So that is,
I'm one of the very few that don't have it. I mean, I've seen some crazy things, but to me, it's just like if you're falling in love with all those superstitions, and then something gets thrown off, and you start making that excuse, it's like, oh, now I'm not comfortable. I just try to be kind of open to everything. If I'm doing the same routine every start, and then maybe one game gets delayed like an hour while I'm warming up, and I don't want to be all mentally thrown off from that. So I kind of want to keep it open. I always change things every game. Like there's things I'm working on between starts, so I might change the routine a little bit before games, but I try to be pretty flexible with times and everything.
And throughout this conversation, you've brought up a lot of the mental side, and I'm always curious to hear what guys' mental practices are throughout a season, whether it's pre-game or post-game, and especially if a start doesn't go your way, is there anything specific that you do to make sure that it doesn't affect that mental side of the game?
I mean, I just try to. If the start doesn't go my way, it kind of depends how it goes. For me, if I'm getting hit around a lot, the first thing I go to look for is, was I, number one, tipping anything, or number two, being just really predictable with what pitches I was throwing. Because when I get hit around, it's because I'm falling in love with a changeup in a certain count or something, and it seems like the hitters are kind of sitting on it, or I'm just. I know I like to be aggressive in the strike zone, but sometimes I'm just middle of the plate every pitch, which obviously is not gonna lead to much success. But so I just try to look at that first, and then if anything else in my weekly routine needs to change, then I'll address that too. But I always look at the pitch selection that I use and the locations that I'm getting.
You mentioned last year that your goal was to have as much energy and strength on the last game of the season, from the first game to the last game of the season. For now that you're going to have a full off season, a healthy spring training, are you kind of still having that same mindset going in and just kind of building that strength and being prepared for whatever 2023 is going to throw your way?
Definitely. I mean, I'm definitely going to address this neck thing and make sure there's no issues with that. I mean, I've already added some things to my routine to get all that loosened up and make sure there's no issues with that. So that's new for this off season. So yeah, last year I failed with that, I guess, because I didn't make it through the season. But yeah, that's definitely the goal: staying healthy this whole season and feeling strong throughout. I mean, obviously there's going to be ups and downs performance wise in the season, but I don't want to feel like my body's giving out on me. So I'll get in my routine and see how I feel through spring training, and if I can find some routine that works for me, I'm going to stick with it throughout the time, and hopefully body holds up and arm feels good.
Yeah, you mentioned it a little bit in that answer, but I was curious, what are the biggest things that you've noticed, during this off season when working on that neck? Did the doctors give you any specific stretches or anything like that to really loosen it up and to make sure? I mean, you mentioned that it was a freak accident, but is there anything specific that you're doing to potentially avoid that at all costs?
Yeah, I mean, I do a ton of what we call nerve glides. It's like the nerves that come out of your neck go down your arm, and it's basically stretching out those nerves and getting them all activated before any activity. So I do those every morning before workouts and throwing, and just getting my spine moving, the T-spine mobility, just get everything stretched out and moving and activated before I get into anything. Because if I go into it ice cold, then I guess the chance of a re-injury is probably higher. So I'm just gonna make sure there's no issues with the neck or the spine or anything, because I definitely don't want to go through that again. I think I will, but I'm not taking any chances with it.
We'll get you right back to our conversation with Brandon Walter just as soon as I tell you about BetOnline, because betonline.net is your number one source for betting sports info, stats, news, and analysis. You can get the latest odds, the latest trends for every single professional and amateur league out there. From football to basketball to soccer and even esports, we've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, you can find those at BetOnline as well. We're always the fastest and the easiest way to get your betting fix. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. That's BetOnline, where the game starts.
And then I want to sort of help fans get a little bit more of an understanding of who Brandon Walter is outside of the game. And so I'm curious, if you weren't playing baseball, what do you think you would be doing as a profession?
Oh God, this is
the hard-hitting questions. Now they're coming.
I've really only envisioned myself as a player or coach coming up. So, I mean, I went to school for criminal justice. If I'm being honest, I had no interest in doing that after college. But, I mean, if I had to stop playing today, I'd jump right into coaching. I do lessons now with kids. And I enjoy it. I don't know if I'd do that forever, but I would do like a coach of a college maybe, or a professional pitching coach, and just kind of roll with that and see how high I can get up in the ranks for that.
And then outside of coaching and baseball as well, what are some of your passions outside of the game?
I like to golf. Let's see, I don't fish or hunt or anything. I really like traveling. Me and my girlfriend, we always are looking for new spots to go, new restaurants, new cities to explore. So traveling, definitely. I like to golf. I like to go to the beach. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm pretty simple.
Is there any guys? My bad.
I was say, where's the favorite place that you and your girlfriend have traveled to?
Let's see.
Or one that you'd automatically go back to, no questions asked.
We recently went to Miami. I like Miami a lot. That was my first time there. It was a good time. We love Boston too. We when I was up in Worcester, she would come up and my family would come up and everything, and we'd always go to Boston and just kind of walk around, get some food, walk around the stadium and everything. So I like Boston's probably my favorite city that I've been to. which is good for me, obviously, good fit.
Right.
But yeah, I'd say Boston and Miami.
And then speaking about golfing, did you golf with any of the guys in Portland? Because it seems like every single guy we've had on who's pitched in Portland, who's played in Portland, like Cole Cottom, Thad Ward, Christian Koss, Nico Cavadas, they all say that they love golfing. So curious if you went out with any of those guys and if you were able to get a win at all.
I have golfed with Koss and Cottom. Not in Portland. When I was in Portland, it was way too cold to get out and golf. So
yes.
I think I got moved up a little too early. I didn't really get the warm weather up there yet. So I didn't golf in Portland, but I've golfed in Fort Myers with those guys, and Chase Shugart, I've been out with him too. Yeah, a lot of guys like to golf. I don't golf nearly as much as some of the other guys, but it seems like every off day they're rolling out to the course. Sometimes I just need a day to chill. But
now, did you get close to beating Cole?
No, he's very good. No. His brother's really good too.
Yeah, that's why I had to ask.
Yeah.
And then
I don't claim to be good at golf. I just play golf.
And then also, like, when you show up to the park, is there any like go-to meal that you like to have, whether you're pitching or whether you're not? Anything that comes to mind?
I always love Chipotle Day at the stadium. That's my go-to. Usually we get it more than once a week, which I could eat it every day. I think when I was in Fort Myers rehabbing, I actually ate it like 4 or 5 times a week. So on game day, I like to do that. It's nice. It's heavy and got a lot of carbs, so that's my go-to.
It's not a bad go-to. I like that.
No, it's just the best.
And then last 2 things for you. These are Philly questions. How did you enjoy watching the Phillies go to the World Series? And how you liking the Eagles with all the success that they've had so far this season?
Okay, number one, the Phillies. That was a fun run for them. Obviously, I'm with Boston now, and I'm just but for that, I was just a spectator, and seeing the way the city just embraced that team, and it seemed like it was a party every night they played. I didn't get to go to any games, but just seeing the reaction of the stadium and the whole city, the way they reacted to every game, it was pretty cool to see that. Yeah, that was a fun run. I was rooting them on, obviously. But yeah, that was fun. And then the Eagles, I was just at the game on Monday night when they lost. And but yeah, I'm a huge fan. They're but I think they're in a good spot. Jalen Hurts MVP, I'd say.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited about them.
I was just at a wedding right outside of Philly, and the bride and groom are Bruins fans. So they did like the Bruins goal horn and everything. And the DJ started playing the Eagles rally cry. And I've never felt so out of place in my life, being just like not knowing what's going on. And I'm like, is this how people feel like when Sweet Caroline gets played at weddings or something? Like they were so aggressive. And I'm like, this is a wedding. I was like, wow, Eagles fans are nuts, like in the best way possible. I'm like, as soon as that song came on, like everyone stopped what they were doing just to sing the song and then chant Eagles. I was like, wow. I'm like, I don't know if I would ever survive in that stadium just because they're so intense.
Yeah, it's a crazy atmosphere. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been around too many big Boston crowds. I know it looks great, but to me, nothing beats a Philly crowd. Those fans are different. Right now, it's not. You don't even say goodbye to people. You just say "Go Birds." That's everybody's leaving statement. So yeah, it's a fun time. Both those teams went on a really good run too, so the city's buzzing for sure.
Oh yeah.
You know what you gotta do? You gotta get one of those hats with the eagle on the top, and you got the strings, so then let the wings start flapping. Have you ever seen that video? Like it was right after the Eagles lost or something like that.
I don't know if I could pull that one off.
That's awesome, man. Well, really appreciate you taking the time, Brandon, as always, and wish you the best of luck this next season. You know, we'll definitely be rooting for you till the end.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
We hope you enjoyed our episode today with Red Sox prospect Brandon Walter. We want to thank Brandon once again for graciously giving us his time to appear on Locked On Red Sox. Thank you as always for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. Please rate, review, and subscribe to Locked On Red Sox right here on YouTube, Apple, Spotify. Wherever you get your podcast is where you can find us. Be sure to check out all the other pods across the Locked On Network, Locked On Yankees, Locked On Phillies. They've got a lot going on this offseason, as do Locked On Blue Jays. You can find us on Twitter at LO_Red Sox, Jake at Jake Iggy, then me, Lauren, 3 Laws, Lauren with 4 R's. We will be back tomorrow with another episode to round out this week of Locked On Red Sox. But now that you've made Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day, please be sure to check out Locked On Sports today for listen number 2. From the games that matter to the biggest stories in sports, you go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights that only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available right here on YouTube, Apple, Odyssey, wherever you get your podcast is where you can find Locked On Sports Today and Locked On Red Sox. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We will see you tomorrow. And as always, let's go Red Sox.